when I hit 50, I realized that there were so many things that I wanted to do, and I didn't even realize that I wanted to do them. And by just verbalizing to that trainer that I've always wanted to do a triathlon, I never really realized I wanted to do it until I said it to him. Just opened up this whole, I guess it opened up the mindset that you just, life is too short. It's fleeting.
Welcome to Leap Like Me, the podcast that helps you to be bold in life, to stretch what's possible, and find more adventure, joy, and purpose along the way. I'm your host, Lisa Hoashi. I'm a life coach who can help if you're ready to take a new, more authentic direction in life. On Leap Like Me, we share the inspiring stories of people like you who have made a brave leap and offer practical tips for how to set your leap in motion too. Let's get started. Hello, everyone. This is Lisa Hoashi, and welcome to Leap Like Me. Our guest today is one of my clients, a friend, and someone I'm just really glad that I know. She made a life-changing decision to quit her job and travel in 2014, and that journey showed her that she could do anything that she put her mind to. At age 57, she started to surf and train for longer triathlons. And now she has launched her own business. It's called Try to Surf. And it supports women who are 50 plus who want to rediscover their active selves, their power and passion. A big welcome to Lisa Alfano. Lisa, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, Lisa. It's a pleasure.
So Lisa and I originally met in Portland and at a yoga retreat. I think we were roomies, weren't we?
Yeah. Yes.
And then I ran into Lisa as I was getting ready to take my sabbatical year in 2013. We ran into each other on the street in Portland. And she told me she was thinking about taking one as well. And we just kind of bonded over that idea. And then when I decided to become a coach after my sabbatical year, I thought, who do I know in my life who might be open to coaching, who's interested, who's been supportive? And Lisa actually became my first client. And so, I've been coaching for 8 years now, and Lisa and I have worked together like at various points in both of our journeys. And I've just been so grateful for this ongoing partnership. Most recently, we have been working together to help her with the launch of her business, Try to Surf. And it's just been really fun. I wanted her to bring her on the show today because she knows so much about what it is to take leaps in your life. And so I wanted her to tell us a bit about her leaps. And I also want her to share what it's like to coach with me along those different types of moments in that kind of journey. Yeah. So thanks so much for being here, Lisa.
Yeah, sure. It's a pleasure.
Will you introduce yourself a little bit and tell us a little bit more about you and what you're up to?
Sure. So I'm an East Coast transplant to Portland. I moved here in 2004, and that actually was a leap for me. I didn't even consider it a leap. I was in a job that it was pretty taxing and stressful, and I realized it really wasn't it wasn't bringing any joy. So I left New York, I traveled a little bit, and I realized I want to go back to grad school. And during my travels, I met someone who lived in Portland. So I came to visit and realized Portland is the place for me. So I've been here since 2004. I'm currently full-time employed. I am a triathlete, as you had mentioned. I started triathlons when I was 50, and I consider myself to be an athlete, a continued budding athlete in my sixth generation of life. I've always been an athlete. I played softball when I was a kid, and fast forward, I think all of that active life when I was younger has definitely stayed with me and has blossomed since I've been in Portland.
Mm-hmm. And where do you feel it seems like there was a bit of I often talk with my clients about like the crossroads moment. It sounds
Mhm.
like that you around 50 kind of hit like a crossroads moment that kind of kicked some of these things off that have been in the last 10 years or so.
Yeah. So when I was preparing for this chat with you, I was reading some of the questions that you posed to me to think about, and I was like, whoa. Yeah, there was definitely that pivotal moment when I turned 50, what I will share with you and the audience. So there was a pivotal moment in my life that I realized I wasn't in a place that was really very healthy, and it wasn't right for me, and for a variety of reasons. And so I joined a gym. I was pretty sedentary, which is really not my MO, so to speak. I was always active, and it just like a few years lull for whatever reason. I just wasn't as active as I normally was. So I joined a gym, and my the trainer that they gave me was a triathlete, and so we started training every week. And he's like, and I kept on saying, I want to be a triathlete, I want to do a triathlon, and never took that step. And when I met Ken, he just got me on the path to do triathlon. So I started training. And that was the pivotal moment for me. That was the year I was 50 and I did my first triathlon. And it was amazing and probably one of the scariest things I've ever done.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And what did you get out of that experience? Like, what was it like?
Oh my gosh. Wow, I'm going so back in time. The training was awesome. I found that I need, like, there is such a pull for me to be active. Like, I need that endorphin. Um, Actually, he told me that I was an endorphin junkie, and I really never heard of that before. I'm like, huh, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, because endorphins, while it's a natural drug, it's still a drug, and you get high from it. So
Right.
I had to decide, is that a good thing or a bad thing? But anyway, I just let it be
What do you
whatever it
think he
was.
was talking about? Like, what was he trying to capture with that?
I needed that. It made me so happy. Like, I just got this euphoric sense about me. Everything changed when I was training, when I was working out, when I was doing my triathlon. My whole state of being, while it seems counterintuitive, while I was up, like my energy level was so high, I was much more calm.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah. And so when I wasn't doing my training every week, and then um, participating in the triathlons, sometimes there would be dips, ebbs and flows. But that euphoria that I had from the endorphins, I think that's what he was referring to. I was more steady. I was happier. I was engaged. I just wanted to do more of it.
Mm-hmm. Which, I mean, you mentioned the word counterintuitive. It's like to get like really high off of like what sounds like really hard work to a lot of us. I mean, a triathlon is like it's got the running, swimming, and biking components, right?
Yeah. Hmm.
And
Yeah.
yet the endorphins, where do you think they come from? Like, is it like the feeling of being strong for you, or that you can take on challenges, do hard things?
I think it's a combination of all of that. I guess it showed me that I had a lot more strength in me than I ever gave myself credit for. Um, when someone holds me accountable and pushes me, I'm able to live up to that, or live up to what the potential I have in myself. Um, and that's what happened. I realized that I I could do anything. Like you said in the intro, I could basically do anything I put my mind to, and it really gave me a sense of empowerment and um, we, yeah, a lot of self-worth, empowerment. It gave me discipline, and it held myself accountable,
Mm-hmm.
where I don't think I had that for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And looking back, it was, when I say just training, right? Just going to a trainer once a week, having a plan, doing my workouts, preparing for the race. It wasn't just about the race. It was really giving myself a sense of peace, and also to follow up with my commitments.
Mm-hmm. So there's like the satisfaction of being able to like complete and keep up and
Yeah. Yeah. And like, it's like that in life, right? Because there was a point where I wasn't really keeping up to my end of the bargain. I wasn't really holding myself accountable, and I was going through the motions, and life was fun. And I was, I had a house. I have a wonderful community here in Portland, but I believe that this entering the community of the triathlon community and doing that work really showed me that there was a part of me that was missing, and I love the competition. I love the community. I love the bonding of being with others who are doing similar things, and
mm-hmm.
also the sense of discipline and commitment that I had to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so, like as we said, like you took a number, like once you were kind of on this track, you started taking like a number of different leaps.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, one of my questions for you is like, now looking back over those leaps of like taking a sabbatical, of starting to serve, of starting a business, like what do you think those leaps symbolize or mean for you in your life?
That I should have done it sooner. Yeah, seriously, I should have done them sooner. It
I mean, that's
symbolizes
a
that.
totally valid answer, I think, right? Because I mean, a lot of times I think that they're an expression of like, I want to live my life to the fullest. So I feel like I need to kind of like, I'm going to take a leap because I feel like I need to catch up with where I really wanted to be at this point in life.
That's great insight, Lisa. I think I believe now that you put it in that way, I'm thinking in that in perspective. When I hit 50, I realized that there were so many things that I wanted to do, and I didn't even realize that I wanted to do them. Um, and by just verbalizing to that trainer that I've always wanted to do a triathlon, I never really realized I wanted to do it until I said it to him. Just
Mm-hmm.
opened up this whole, I guess it opened up the mindset that you just, life is too short. It's fleeting. Um, Here's something that I thought I've always wanted to do, and I'm doing it now. And it's showing me that I can do it. And that, there's so many cliches about, excuse me, don't wait until you're on your deathbed to do XYZ, don't have any regrets, but it's true. It is so true. If you have a desire to do something and you have the ability and capability and the privilege to do so, don't put it off, because you're fulfilling something that's really deep into your soul. And it it just showed me that I wasn't really who I could be. These leaps really brought who I was to light, and I was really in my authentic self.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, what you mentioned about the whole, like the deathbed and the regrets reminds me of a book that came out this year by Daniel H. Pink called The Power of Regret that I really enjoyed reading. But he did like this really big survey, like a worldwide survey of regret, and asked people what they regretted. And there are several categories that he had of regrets, but one of the most common was actually the regret of not being bolder in life.
Mm.
So it's like, yeah, those things that you would have liked to have done that you didn't do, right? And so I
Yeah.
feel like the leaps are the people who are conscious of like that potential regret, right? Of not being bolder when they could have been.
Right. Yeah. That is so true. And there's contrary to that statement, there's also a book that I read regarding you try not to have any regrets, because the things that you have done and have not done in the past makes you who you are today. And to think that if you didn't do X, where would you be today? You would be in a different place.
Mm-hmm.
But I do hear what you're saying, because I do agree that I don't want to, I didn't want to continue to live my life without being bold, I guess, to use Pink's term. Yeah. So this is a really fun topic to talk about, and something that we don't always sit and have enough time to think about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so maybe we could talk about your most recently, which was to launch this business.
Okay.
And so I was just thinking about your story, and, like people from the outside, I imagine you get this a lot. Like, Lisa's so inspiring. She's so bold. She takes these risks. She really pushes herself. It's so easy for her. I'm not like that, and so I just wonder, like, what do you think about that? Has it been easy for you? Is it just something that you are good at?
It hasn't been easy. Um, yeah, there's a lot of struggles. I think that I was at the right place at the right time, and I was just pushing down so many things that were my desires and passions and my callings without really realizing what they are. But when where Try to Surf came from, I'm sure it was festering for years, but when it really came to light is when I bought my first surfboard when I was 57. Yeah, it was just like the whole world opened up to me. And even when I talk about it, it's just my whole being changes. Yeah, I bought my first surfboard and got my full on heavy gear wetsuit because I live in Oregon and it's cold. And I got on that board the first time, and my whole being totally changed. And that's where Try to Surf was born. I'm so in love with surfing, and being on that board gives me a whole new perspective of life and a sense of peace. And I was like, huh. So that was the impetus to doing Try to Surf, because I was starting to talk to my triathlon friends saying, hey, I'm doing surfing now. You're a triathlete. Would you love to surf? Oh yeah, that would be awesome. And then I'm talking to some surfing friends and saying, hey, I'm a triathlete. Would you like to do triathlons? And they're like, no. But I'm like, huh, how could I marry? So, your business ideas sometimes morph, they ebb and flow, where the triathlon, taking folks to want to surf has been, I don't want to say easy, but it's simpler than it is to take surfers to go to triathlon. But it hasn't been easy. There's been a lot of struggles because when I started Try to Surf, I realized, also working with you, that, which we could, of course, we'll talk about, I guess, during the course of the podcast. But I realize it's my passion by working with you and talking with others about it, that, when you find a passion, it does seem easy just to start coming out and flowing onto paper and having ideas being created and taking those ideas into something that's more solid, into this business of Try to Surf. But it's not easy. On the surface, it may look it. There's a lot of struggles and conflicts with full-time work and time allocation and all that. That we're going to have to start this one again, Lisa, because I can feel myself rambling on this one. Let's see. I don't even know where to begin. All right, so it doesn't. Yeah.
Do you want to just take a pause for a second?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
let me also think about if there's I guess where do you feel like you'd like to restart? Do you want me to ask the question again?
Yeah, I don't. So the thing is, when I was reading the sentence, I do get that, oh, it just seems so easy for you to do it. I don't know. The thing that I'm struggling with, Lisa, is I don't want to come across as it being super easy and anyone can do this, and
Right.
you know what I mean?
I guess, and just to tell you, my intention of that question is that, I imagine you do get people who say that to you, but I want to illustrate the fact that actually there's a lot of, you're making a big effort and investment actually in making it happen. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So you can ask
that would
question
be
and then
my
I'll go back.
perception, but I also wanted to check with you about that because I am generally, there probably is a mix of things, but I think the biggest difference between people who are like doing leaps or not are just that the ones who are doing it are trying, they're working at it,
Yeah.
you know?
It's so true. It's so true. It has, the thing is, real quick, I'll do you a side note. When I did the podcast with Celine Yeager, she asked the same question. And she goes, so you got on a surfboard and you got up? I'm like, yeah, it was easy. And I realized I even did this. It was easy. There are certain things that come easy to me, but it's not because it's like I've done all of this work all of these years to get to this place.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's the message I'd like to get across. Like you're saying,
Mm-hmm.
you do a lot of work to get to this space, and it may appear as it's easy, but we've done so much leading up to this.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Um, okay. So I'll just start over with the question. Does that okay? Sound okay?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
fine.
So Lisa, someone might look over your history of these different leaps and just say, oh, it's easy for Lisa. Like she's so brave. She just does what she wants. This comes naturally. What do you think about that? Like, what's really the sort of inside scoop there?
I can understand why some folks say that. Um, and using the example of wanting to surf and getting out and buying my stuff and getting on a board and popping up like the first time. I mean, the perception when I talk about it, folks, I understand why they think that it's easy. I am brave, but there's a lot of work that I've done up until that point, not just with surfing, but also with triathlons in my business, Try to Surf. There's a lot of thought. There's a lot of angst. There's a lot of work with a business and life coach, Lisa Hoashi, for instance. There's time with therapists. There's just self-reflection, and there's creating ideas and not feeling empowered. And there's a lot of angst and disappointment and not a lot of confidence in myself. And then with the help of someone like you, well, not with like you, but help with you and with others, it all comes together, even though it seems totally disjointed.
Mm-hmm.
The work that I've done in the past and even continuing to do today. And when it comes, I think it appears to be easy because I have a lot of passion around it, and I realize that it's part of my calling to build a community of women 50 plus to do some things that like I've done. So yeah, I am brave, and it is a bold step, but it's not really very easy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So Lisa, I mean, I'm just thinking about, I feel so privileged because I feel like I've been here for like kind of the birthing of Try to Surf. And so, when we first started working together in the most recent iteration, it was, I guess I would kind of characterize it as like you were kind of looking ahead to like your next chapter. And I'm just curious, like, what were some of the things that we did that kind of helped you to, because now at this point, you're like starting to really live out like this next chapter, which is so exciting. But at that point that we re-engaged after, a few years, it was like, you were like, okay, I want to kind of set the stage for this now. And I want to see, I have this idea. What should I do with it? So what did we do that helped you with that?
You help lay the foundation for not the business itself. Well, you help lay the foundation for the business itself, but all of the work that you had me do was so critical for me to get to this place. We did some strength finders. We did the key piece. I know I'm thinking all of this. The key piece to what you helped me with was to hold myself accountable, which was probably the most difficult thing for me to do. you gave me exercises and references, books to read about how to build a habit, how to create a habit, how to sustain it. But the key piece was being with you on a consistent basis and holding myself accountable, because it was so much that I wanted to do. I had all of these ideas and I couldn't get them down into something solid. And really reflecting and analyzing and talking about what is my end, not necessarily an end goal, but what is my vision, and did all of that work leading up to that vision. The one thing that stands out that I think was the pivotal piece for me that has helped me so much, and I go back to it all the time, is the write down what your ideal day is. I look back at that and it's changed a little bit, because it has changed a little bit, but that exercise to me has laid the foundation for everything. Like I said, I go back to all the time, like, am I trying to live my ideal day? And no, right now, no. And what can I do to get there?
Uh-huh. Yeah, I love that. Yeah, so for those who are listening to this or watching it, what Lisa is talking about is an exercise I often have clients do, which is just to write like a narrative. It can be like a 1-page piece of paper about what you would do during your ideal day from start to finish, down to the little details of like, what are you wearing that day? Who are you with? Like, what are you having for breakfast? You know, how do you end your day? What do you do in the evening? And it's supposed to be like a work day as well. So, you know, to help us think about like, what are you doing as well for work? And yeah, it's such a simple exercise. I have a client right now who has been referencing that as well, that I think this is such like a central tenet of my work, and that I found really had results for my own life, was just to like, yes, to just have this like very clear idea of like what the ideal is. And then to keep, like you said, keep checking in with yourself as you keep going. Like, am I doing things that are going to get me there? Am I getting closer? Am I making decisions today that are going to lead me closer to that vision?
Yeah. I also realized, I mean, all the work that we did together that led up to that, putting that down on a piece of paper, when I look at it, I realize it is attainable. It's not, when you first had me do that, I thought, oh, my ideal day is, I'm going to be on this, create this island, and I'm going to be, making millions of dollars. It has nothing to do with that. It was this, that I can envision it. And it's more of a realistic goal. I keep on using goal, but it's a more realistic life that I want to live. That it definitely is something that I can see. So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, and then, and then it sounds like once you have that really clear kind of vision, it's about what we were able to do with coaching is to have this structure that allowed you to, I mean, a lot of what we do is, you are definitely an ideas person. And so yeah, a lot of times it is, like you said, like grounding them. And then we really design like, okay, what would be some actions that would help you move ahead with this? And then just having that container to check back in. How's it going? And yeah, I can really see how you've been making that a practice. I mean, more and more I see that you're like sending me messages to say like, okay, I did this. I'm still working on this. It's like, it's great. Yeah. This is a great way to use a coach.
Oh, it's wonderful. To the audience, well, and also to you, one of the hardest things that's been happening these past few years is I'm also working full time. And so to go back also to the question about how some folks think, that I'm brave, that this has been easy for me and it comes naturally and it comes easy. The struggles also are how to navigate around the work that I'm doing that's helping to pay the bills, and that's a full-time job, and then trying to get a business off the ground which is really my, it gives me so much joy. It's really super hard to do, but it gives me so much joy. But how to navigate both of those worlds on top
Mm-hmm.
of training for, being still participating in the triathlon community and training for this upcoming season. So that's something to think about when you're embarking on starting a business or taking a leap like that, um, how to really accept that when you're starting a business, there may be a lot of challenges that you have to overcome. And do you quit your job? Where's the income coming from? Like all of these things flow into starting a business or doing something that you've been wanting to do for a long time.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really tricky. That particular challenge I didn't have to deal with because I had already quit my job and, as I was starting my business on my savings, so it was like, okay, this has got to work, but I had the time. Um, and, and yeah, it's a huge energy challenge to, be working full time. And like you said, like the business itself is so energizing because you love it. And yet I imagine you're really pulled because you're like, I really want to work on this business that really lights me up, but I really still have to, I have these big obligations with a full-time job still too.
Yeah. Yeah. So one of the changes that I am going to do is leave my job and to be able to work on this business full time. Um, I'm at the point in my life where it's really super scary, but I have to. I can't deny wanting to get building a community going. I just can't deny it any longer. So it's really scary. Um, like one of the prep questions that you gave to me to start thinking about for when we were talking is like, so where am I today? What am I going to be doing? What are some of the challenges? I realized that I can't deny this any longer. And so if you find your calling, or if you find your passion, it's become so full of who you are. It really accentuates who you are, that if you don't get it going, it could start wreaking a little bit of havoc on your life,
For
like on your
sure.
mental state, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, so I'm going to take that leap again in a few months and focus on this full time and really get my triathlon training going and my surfing and my business,
Mm-hmm.
because that's just
Yeah.
what really feeds me.
Yeah. Well, Lisa, and feel free to, answer this in the way that feels most comfortable to you, or just say like you're not ready to answer it. But I'm just curious, you mentioned, a big part about taking a leap is that like usually they're risky and they're scary. And so one of the things I really try to help my clients do is like think about how can they create some safety within that risk. And so, it sounds like you're doing a very big thing, right? You're leaving your job to move ahead with working more full time on
Mhm.
Try to Surf, your own business. So, what kinds of things have you put into place that will be your safety net?
Yeah, I'll feel comfortable answering this. So I own a house, and I will be getting a roommate to help pay for the mortgage, because that will help decrease the angst around money. And when I travel, I'll have someone here as well to help pay some of the bills. I also have a financial advisor that I have been talking to the past few years, and we're going to have a conversation in January to lay out a budget, which is really scary because I've never lived on a budget before. Yeah, I have definitely been blessed and privileged, and I understand where that privilege is coming from. Um, so part of that is like just getting my finances in order, but it's not just the finances, the money itself. It's really having a relationship around money
Mm-hmm.
is what has to change, because right now I've lived a certain lifestyle, and um, it'll change. And so
Mhm.
like, how do I handle, how do I accept, how do I embrace the changes that are going to happen, and also recognize that I'll be okay.
Mhm. Yeah. Well, you bring up such a good point. I think that a lot of times these shifts that we're making around the leap moment or big, just big changes in life in general is that they often call us to have a different relationship to money.
Mhm.
So I'm thinking, about some of my clients who have like really secure, high paying jobs, but they want to be more artistic and creative and entrepreneurial. And so it's like, you know, there might be a new redefinition of like what is enough for me, and to kind of let go of some of the things that come with, like with their current relationship with money. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Also I'm single and I don't have any children. So I don't have any obligations that are reliant on an income other than myself. So
Mhm.
I think that's an important piece to make note of, because when I do leave my job, I do have access to a retirement fund if I want to take it, and then I have a savings account that I will use, but I don't have anyone that's relying on me to help pay for them and help them sustain their life. So um, that's an important piece also that flows into my business, because part of the community that I'm working with or want to work with are women who are 50 plus that may also have kids and obligations, um, and I want them, and some of my ideal clients are those that have children and they lost their sense of self or sense of active lives, right? And they want to get that back. So how do they get their active selves back while um, having other obligations?
Mhm.
Like, how do you work with both? You have a
Mhm.
love that you've kind of let go because you have other things that have popped up. Um, so that kind of flows into where I'm at also, like how um, just having a different definition of what life looks like.
Mhm. So we already kind of touched on what some of the scariest parts of starting your own business is, but I just am so cognizant that there are so many people out there who would love to start their own business. Like this is one of their dreams. And yet they don't ever do it. So obviously there are like some very scary things that go along with this. Now that you've done, started this process, like what do you think are some of the scariest?
What are some of the scariest? You're upsetting your whole daily life that's been the same for a really long time. I mean, really think about what will that look like? It's not that scary and not that different if you um, take a step back and say, really, what's going to be different? Oh, I may not be going to a job from 9 to 5, but I am also going to be obligated and be held accountable to doing the business. So the scary part is moving into the unknown. That's what I'm trying to say. The scary part is moving into the unknown. um, I do believe having someone there to help you, guide you along the way, and help to get a little bit more focus is really super helpful. um, Scary part also is not having the support that you thought you need. And I mean emotional support from whether it's your family, your close friends. So be prepared to not have that support that you think you need. And then you may realize that you don't really need it, which is something that happened to me when I moved from New York to Portland. That experience helped me realize that you need support from yourself.
Mm-hmm.
It's nice to have support from your family and friends to actually take that leap, but it's not absolutely critical
Right.
because it's coming from inside.
Yeah. Yeah. I've also noticed that that is also a key place where a coach can help, is that
Mm,
when you can find a coach who can be that support where maybe you're finding it's lacking in the other parts of your life, that can really help. I mean, I have so many people who come to me who are just like, the people around me just don't get it, or
yeah.
they're too scared. They're too scared for me. So they actually are not like helping me do this.
Yeah, at least you're the, meeting you and having that coaching relationship was critical for me in getting this business to where it's at, because we started working together after we both got back from our sabbaticals. And I wasn't working at the time, because when I got back, I realized I don't want to go back to that work life again. And so we met during that transition period for me. And it was more of a focus of life and where I want my life to go, not necessarily just the business. And having you, or having someone like you, but for me personally, having you there to guide me along the way, and then start helping me with visioning and where I want to see my life go, and what happened when I was traveling, how do I want to bring that feeling to my current world, was just so important. And it really laid the groundwork for where I am today. So I'm so grateful that we had that time, and
Oh,
we still
thank you.
continue to have that
Me
relationship.
too. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, it's so incredible to watch you bring all of this to life. Yes, I love
Thanks.
seeing it. Yeah.
Thanks.
So, well, maybe that's a good segue then to just hear a little bit about what your plans are for Try to Surf. What is your vision? How would
Mm.
you really like this to serve women who are 50 plus?
So my vision is to have a community, a safe, embracing, empowering community of women who are there for each other and for themselves, to really reclaim their active lives, right? To reclaim their active selves. And what that looks like is get folks moving, have a supportive environment to lean on each other about um, their fears and trepidations and challenges, and also all of um, the great things that are happening by moving, whether that's starting, triathlons, whether that's starting surfing, or surfing with others, or hiking, like anything that's active and gets their body moving. Because I believe that there's such a strong mind body connection, that once their body gets moving, that mindset just becomes more centered.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I have this vision of this really bold, empowered, resilient community of women, that we talk about anything and everything, and then include that active life as part of
Mm-hmm.
it.
And do you see this as like this community, like how far reaching is it? Is it meant to be like a community that's doing stuff in person, or is it kind of like a broader movement of people who are in different places? What do you?
It's a broader movement. I don't, COVID has shown us that we can be so far apart from each other but still be connected. So yeah, it's a broader movement. It's I am starting surf retreats, so that's one of the ways by which I can bring women together in person, to do
Mm-hmm.
some great bonding and community building, and then also to surf, because it's just such an amazing thing. But I also have a vision of doing remote like summits, where I bring other people together, where we have workshops and work panels, breakout rooms, and just all get us together and listening and hearing what other women are doing. So that's more of a remote type of community building. And but in person right now, I'm seeing more surf retreats, and locally also getting some running groups together, um, and providing some triathlon resources, but that would be remote. And whether I get with them in person to do some training around that, but it's a combination.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm so excited to hear that because soon I will be able to join your community. And I'm looking forward to doing that. Now I have something to look forward to with turning 50.
Oh my
Um,
God.
and it just like, it resonates so much with me. Actually just a few podcasts ago, I talked about just working with my first like nutritionist and personal trainer, Anna Alexander, who's based in Barcelona. And so I have just like started like lifting weights and like doing
Mm.
my own workouts. And it's just been it really has been a big change for me. And the benefits that you've talked about of like feeling empowered, feeling strong, like, really feeling like you've lit the spark again inside, like of just like, being able to accomplish these physical challenges and say to yourself, like, yeah, I did it. It's a really huge, because I think, I just have had two babies, and so I'm in early motherhood, and it's just like, and we're also having babies later in life. And so it's like, I'm like reaching middle age with two young kids, and I'm just like, that can really take a toll on your body. And I was just kind of like at that point, like that kind of slump place of kind of like maybe how you felt when you were in your sedentary life, right? Or
Yeah.
you're just like, is this it? Like, is this all my body can do now, And whoa, that feels amazing when you can be like, hey, I'm pumping weights. Like, this is amazing.
I'm
Look
so
at
happy to
me.
hear that. Good for
Yeah.
you.
It's like, it really is big.
Yeah.
And I love that you are wanting to share this with women, um, at this age, and also to bring women together, because I think that the other slump area that comes to us at this age is in our friendships and our
Mhm.
community, and especially after we've just lived out of come out of a pandemic. So like,
Yeah.
I think what you're offering is so important.
Oh, thanks, Lisa. And I'm so happy to hear that you're doing that. The one thing that I haven't touched upon, or we haven't touched upon, but you just did,
Yeah.
is how our bodies are changing in perimenopause and menopause. And I mean, my menopausal stage has been over for a while, but I became active. I found a Facebook group called Hit Play Not Pause, and it's for active women going through experiencing perimenopause and menopause. And the moderator, founder, leader, Celine Yeager, is awesome. And I have learned so much over the past few months by just being on this Facebook group. And, I follow Celine, I was on her podcast, and
Great
I
podcast
realized,
episode, by the way.
oh,
Yeah, I
thank you.
loved that interview.
Thank you. Oh, that was so awesome. Um, it was so natural and so easy, just like this one is, but it was just great. Anyway, I'm realizing that um, we women have to make sure that we keep our bodies healthy. And by that, I mean, because with menopause comes, bone loss, hormone loss, all of that. So doing weights and being more active is really critical. You don't have to be a surfer or a triathlete or a long distance runner, but we need to keep our bodies healthy from a bone and hormone perspective. So one of the things that has now morphed into my business, which wasn't on the plate at all, is bringing women to talk about what changes their bodies have gone through and how can we be there for each other in support.
Absolutely. Yeah. There's still so much like talk that I feel like, will kind of privately happen between girlfriends, but that is like, that could, by talking more publicly, like that women could really be in a much more supported place,
Mhm.
rather than keeping some of the changes or the struggles that they're having, like, so, secrets for just the most intimate relationships,
Right.
I feel like there's could be so much more empowerment if women could talk more free, like have spaces to talk more freely
Yeah.
about what's going on. Yeah.
Yeah. And thankfully they're opening up now. It's amazing what I'm hearing, what we're all learning from each other, that our medical community is not talking to us about this. I'm learning that folks aren't even trained
Mm-hmm.
to learn about menopause in their training. And I'm hoping that that's starting to change, but yeah, we have to be our advocates, our own advocates around this, and find other women who want to talk about this. And it's interesting around the concept of friendships as we get older. I'm finding that it's a fallacy that as you get older, you lose the ability, or you don't make friends as well or as easy as you do when you're younger. And I'm so grateful that hasn't been the case.
Mm-hmm.
My friendships that I've formed later on in life are so strong, but that doesn't negate the friendships that I've made when I was younger, because I'm still very like my best friends have been made once in college and when I was in my 30s, but I'm not finding that. And I believe it's because we have a better sense of who we are now. And Try to Surf is also trying to help guide and support other women to find themselves again. Because I've gotten feedback from some of my friends about, I've lost myself. I love my husband, I love my children, but during that process, I've lost who I am.
Mm-hmm.
And what a wonderful way to form a community to be able to talk about that stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And like the means to then go kind of rediscover it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. All right, Lisa. Well, you are such an inspiration. And I wonder if you would just share one of your secrets, maybe for me and the Leap Like Me community, about just some advice you'd give us so we can also be badasses as we go into our 50s and 60s and beyond. What do you got for us?
Be kind to yourself. If you have this passion or calling or desire to do something, think about it and do it. Don't wait, and I'm speaking to myself here as well. Don't give yourself excuses about why not. Think about why. And you are stronger than you give yourself credit for. And reach out for support. The secret for me, as we've been talking about, it's not necessarily just a secret, but the thing that helped me the most is to be open about some of the struggles that I've had, and talk about with a coach, about what it is that I want, and then have someone help you, guide you along the way. So I don't know if that's necessarily a secret, but just reach out to folks that are in your community that are in support, and do the things that bring you joy. I don't know what that will look like. It looks like that's for everyone else, but just do things that bring you joy. Life is hard enough.
All right. Thanks, Lisa. All right. And now I would also like to say, how can we help you?
Come to my surf retreats now.
No, definitely. Tell us
yeah.
about that. Tell us. I imagine that there are going to be lots of people like me who just like really want to support you in this beautiful thing you're creating and be a part of it. So how can we join up or support? Tell us what the options are.
That's such a wonderful question. Thanks, Lisa. So my website is Try to Surf, TRI2, which is a number, surf. If you go there, and you can read about me and my offerings. I'm still in the beginning phases of trying to figure out. I mean, I have what I want to do, but I'm trying to figure out how to better provide support to other women. But go to there, sign up for my newsletter. I'll be providing some resources and links to my surf retreats. I have one coming up in Costa Rica in July. I am looking to do one in Southern California. So that's one way you can support.
Cool.
Yeah. So sign up for my newsletter. Sign up for my newsletter, check out the website. I would love to hear some feedback about what it is that you're looking for. Eventually I'll have a questionnaire that's going to be on my website to ask, what is that you need, what I may be able to provide to you. So, yeah.
Cool. Awesome. That sounds great. And you're also on Instagram, right?
I'm on Instagram
We
as
will,
Women Who Try to Surf.
okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll provide all this stuff on our show notes.
Okay.
So yeah, folks can head on over there to get connected with you. Yeah.
Okay.
Sounds great. All right. Well, thank you so much, Lisa.
Thanks so much, Lisa.